So let's talk about the male figure and how to get the proportions when you're drawing the male figure. So there are two slightly different ways to think of this. Both of them use the 9 heads concept, and 1/9 is the size of the head. And then 1.5 heads down is where the pit of the neck is and the collarbones. 2.5 heads down is where the bottom of the pectorals are, the big muscles on the chest. 3.5 heads down is where the waist is. 4.5 heads down, or halfway, is where the crotch is. 5.5 heads down is mid-thigh. 6.5 heads down is the knees. 7.5 heads down is mid-calf. 8.5 heads down is where the ankles are. So if you're drawing the second way, you go straight to the halfway, because halfway is where the crotch is. So you go straight to the halfway, and then you know that 1 head height from halfway is where the waist is. And then 2 heads down from halfway is where the knees are. Another 2 heads down from halfway is where the ankles are. And you can see from here that the elbow to shoulder is 2 heads. The shoulder to the full width is also 2 heads in width. And this bit from the pectorals, bottom of the pectoral to the shoulder blades, or the top of the shoulders, is 1 head. So all of your proportions they're either 1 head or 2 heads, or they are kind of halfway. So I find that a quicker way to work out what's going on. So let's have a look at this guy. So the pelvis is tilted that way slightly. So because all the weight's here, this side of the body kind of falls down. So this shape here is what we're drawing here. So on this walking figure, the pelvis is at that angle, and then the spine starts to bend back. And at right angles to the spine, that's where the shoulders are. So that's why the shoulders are at a bit of an angle like that. So where the waist is high, the shoulder is low. And the head is off center, so the head is tilted over that way slightly. So this tilt with the pelvis and the spine gives the body a lot more life. It's not just standing there dead still. Notice that there are a lot of curves in the body as well. So a good starting point is to imagine the axis of the hips are in there, and then the thigh bends forward, and the lower leg kind of bends back that way. So this curve here is quite exaggerated. The same with this one. So with this one, we draw that bit is more or less straight, and then we draw the bottom kind of curved outwards. If I was to draw this figure, so I would put my guide on here. I'm just going to mark where the crotch is, and where the feet come, and where the head comes. And I'm not worrying about the composition of the 6 figures for now. So there's his crotch, there's the angle of the waist, so the front of the pelvis is tilted. This leg kind of comes forward, so the ankle is there, the knee is there. So I'm going to have these kind of curves. And then the foot comes back out. Give them a bit of a calf muscle. There we go. And I'm going to draw the foot, so we can see the whole foot. There's the ankle, and then the calf kind of comes round. And then build the shoulder up a little bit. Soften the shoulders. The torso is the least of your problems. When you've got clothing on, you're never aware of what's happening with the torso. I'm going to have this arm actually coming behind him a little bit. So that line there as well, where the deltoid is. The elbow is pretty much level with the waist. There's the waist. And I'm just going to have that arm going behind him. So there's the bicep, there's the deltoid, there's the forearm, which is a kind of triangular shape. Wrist is level with the crotch. head is slightly off center. Okay, there we go. There's our walking figure. So you see how useful the Nine Heads Guide is. Just as a, you can quickly see where everything is supposed to be. So if I'm drawing this figure, he's got quite a nice curve happening. You can see the curve on the lower leg there. So this S-shaped curve, we want to exaggerate that. So we want to get that kind of S-shaped curve thing happening. So his pelvis is tilted forward a little bit at that point. Drawing the pelvis from the sides, think of those action figures, the little where they're articulated, the little pelvis section kind of looks like that. The legs kind of do this. The thigh comes forward, there are the knees, and then the lower leg comes back. So there's the knee, and that's more or less straight. And then I'm going to slightly overdone that. And the feet are usually bigger than you think they're going to be. So the thigh comes forward, there's the knee. This foot is in profile, kind of like that. So the torso is kind of leaning back. And when you're drawing the torso from the side, you've got to imagine it's just a three-dimensional box. So what I'm imagining is a box like this. That's what I'm actually drawing in my head. So I'm drawing a box. This is the end of the box, and these are lines on the front of the box. This is the top part of the arm, and it actually pivots out. So it comes out like this. And then there's the bicep. So the elbow more or less level with the waist. And then a triangular forearm, and the hand is slipped into the pocket. And his neck kind of comes forward. And I'm just going to have him looking at us. So center point where the eyes are, his ears are on that center point. Some cheekbones. There we go, tilt of the pelvis. So there's halfway line. That's the bottom of his crotch. There's his waist. So I'm going to do this shape first. This leg comes forward. So it's his whole weight is on this foot. So there's his ankle, there's his knee. So we've got this lovely, beautiful double curve, and his foot is kind of front on to us. This leg, the knee is a bit lower because the thigh is tilted, so the thigh kind of does that, and then this comes back, making sure the knee's in the right place. There we go, so there's the front of the leg, and the back of the leg, and his foot is slightly, the heel is slightly off the ground. I'll just exaggerate that with a curve. So there's the crook of the neck, and the shoulders go the opposite way to the pelvis. The width of the shoulders is 2 heads. Yep, that looks about right. And 1 head high. And then draw the top of the arms. So there's the bottom of the pectorals. It's there. And there's the collarbone. Build the shoulders up. His elbow is bent, so it's probably going to be a bit higher than that. And the same with this one. So the elbow a bit higher because of the foreshortening of that view. And there's the hand in the pocket. Other hand in pocket. Remember, the head from the side is nearly square. I think his pelvis is going to be slightly angled this way. Now from the back, we obviously don't see this triangular pelvis shape. We just see the buttocks, but I'm going to put a slight angle there. do this leg. There's the forearm. Okay, sorry, so the knees are here, ankles are here. So I'm going to go forward for the top leg and then back curve there. And the same here, I'm going to go forward and then back. And this foot, we're seeing it almost completely from the rear. And curve out for the lower leg. It's a bit hunched forward, so I'll do the same, make the shoulders 2 heads wide. Like that. So there's where the shoulders come. There's the arm. So this arm comes out, triangle a bit there, and the arm, forearm kind of comes down there. So notice the curve on his spine is coming forward like that. So I've got that. I'm going to have his neck coming forward, and I'm going to have his head tilted that way, I think. Yeah, there's the eye, there's the ear, the crotch. So look at the pelvis. So this is going to be, we're going to turn this into a guy. So look at the angle of the pelvis, then the spine comes back, shoulders up, the thigh does that, the lower leg does that. We've got kind of a double curve here. And the width of the pelvis is a bit less than the height of the head. It's about 3/4 of the height. So the thigh coming down to here and the lower leg also. Let's turn that into more of a male leg. So I'm going to have the lower leg doing that, upper leg doing that, and then the foot there. So let's draw the muscles in. Then the spine tilts back round in the center of the chest. Make sure it's 2 heads wide, not quite, a little bit wider. Draw the top of the arms. That's where the pectorals go. There's our torso. This arm, I'm going to have it just coming down. Bicep. So elbow level with the waist. And then, so that it kind of goes up. There's the bicep. And then the elbow is this triangle. And the hand kind of does that. I want the head to be in profile. This guy, imagine what he's like from the front. I'm going to have his pelvis tilted forward a bit. There's the waist. Doing that, and the other leg, I'm going to have it further back, like that. Okay. Let's draw all the bits in. There's his knees, lower leg. His foot is more or less in profile, and this one, there's the knee, more curve on the outside of the leg, and it's kind of facing the front more. So this needs to come back a lot more. That's better. So a bit of a tilt there. This hand kind of comes out like this. That does that. Elbow. And then the hand is kind of doing that. Just looking straight at us. Okay, there we go. So there's our 6 figures. Now let's put them onto a tableau.